Hello, this is Elaine Sugar, award-winning children's program facilitator and overall supporter of children's dreams. Welcome to the Empower Teen Self-Esteem podcast. We bring you ideas and resources that help teens shine and help ease parents' minds.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Empower Teen Self-Esteem. The guest of today is Kim Wagner. She is from Australia and she is a transformational coach. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. So tell us about who you are, what you do, and why.
Absolutely. So as you said, my name's Kim Wagner. I live in Queensland, Australia, up near the Great Barrier Reef. I've been working in coaching of some description since about 2004 when both of my parents had died of cancer quite close together, and my mum died of cancer when I was pregnant with 6 months pregnant with my second child. And what I noticed when he was born was that there was certainly some emotional issues there. So that sent me on a mission to sort of find out how I could help him to cope and to really have an amazing life and not be in so much pain emotionally. So that led me down lots of different ways of helping people. You know, I'm a Reiki master, I'm a health coach. There's so many other tools in my toolbox, Touch for Health, kinesiology. But what I find has been the most transformational thing in my journey and to help people is a modality called PSYCH-K, which has been around for about 25 years in the US. However, I only discovered it probably about 10 years ago. And of course, as soon as I read about that and saw what it can do to help someone to transform their stress and transform their lives and their belief systems, that certainly basically cemented my path in life. So what I do now is I help people in all kinds of situations and all kinds of ages, not just teens. However, I am definitely drawn to working with teens because of the issues that they're going through. So effectively what I'm able to do is I'm able to work on it's basically called transforming the perception of stress. So helping individuals to work with how their bodies and their minds react to the stress or a stressful situation that's happening around them, and also to change their belief systems, so their subconscious belief systems, which is their blueprint, to help them to navigate this very interesting world, and particularly teens. You know, they have so much going on.
Absolutely, and stress is really, it is a killer. I mean, because of stress, your body gets ill, and so you get so many physical problems. And I never heard about this technique, the PSYCH-K, so it's very interesting for me also to learn more about it. How does it work exactly?
So the way it works is that precisely the way it works is, now you've possibly heard of kinesiology, so you know what muscle testing is. So we can test a positive or a negative response to a question. So with PSYCH-K, what the practitioner does is they make connection with the subconscious mind of the client that they're working with, and they ask for permission by doing muscle testing to see whether or not it's safe and appropriate to work with that person. And what we can then do is we can test belief systems that we have. So for example, and specifically with teens, and this is what I love helping teens because they have so much going on right now and their stress levels are through the roof. And, you know, as a bit of a side note there, and I know that your listeners and your viewers will understand this, but, you know, teens today, and I have an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old. So teens today are facing things that are beyond our comprehension, I guess you could say, and it's amplified and they're taking it in, and every single little thing becomes big because to them it is. And we know with stress and with the brain that they can't cope with the things that they're around at this age. So that's why when I'm working with them, it's really important for them to know that when I'm touching base with their subconscious mind, that I'm asking permission to be able to work with them. They're fully involved with the entire process. So say, for example, I have a teen that comes to see me, or anyone for this matter, it's the same with everyone. We have a bit of a talk about what they'd like to achieve in a session. And usually it's pretty obvious, you know, there's something that's happened that's caused them to come and see me. And then we work out what they would like to work on. And I then ask permission to work with them. I ask by muscle testing them whether it's safe and appropriate for me to work with them. And then we work on either transforming the perception of stress around a situation, a condition, or a trauma that's happened, something that's happened in their life, by getting them into the whole brain state. And there's obviously a technique that I use there. And what that does is when you're in the whole brain state, so the left and the right side of the brain are sort of at one, they almost intertwine, so that there's no resistance to change. Now, remembering, of course, I've asked for permission to do the process. And if anything that I do or any practitioner does that the subconscious and the superconscious deem unacceptable or unsafe, it immediately stops the process. So you can't go any further. So it's really interesting. So then we're able to bring down the stress response of whatever it is that individual is going through. Sometimes it can go completely in one session. Sometimes it just reduces significantly. And then from there, we work on what would you rather instead? What would you prefer instead? So then we can replace the belief systems that we have. Now, one thing that I'm sure we all realize is that we have a subconscious and a conscious mind. But the interesting thing, which I learned about with PSYCH-K, is from when you're born up to around the age of 7, everything that you see, hear, feel, and experience becomes downloaded to be your blueprint. So more often than not, the beliefs that we're carrying on a subconscious level are not even our own. So that means that when I'm doing PSYCH-K and I'm testing beliefs with someone, I love myself, I trust myself, I'm worthy, you know, all of those kinds of things, more often than not, they are not strong, if that makes sense. So when I'm testing it, when someone's saying it, they aren't strong. So what I'm able to do with PSYCH-K is balance those beliefs. So then the subconscious mind, and it is effective immediately. The subconscious mind has changed the belief from a negative to a positive. So what that does effectively is it changes their whole driving system. Because as you know, the subconscious mind is like a record that's just going and going and going. So if you've changed that record from saying things that are not good, you know, some of the really down things that we say about ourselves, to I love myself, I'm worthy of love, I deserve happiness, I can do things, I can learn easily, I have friends, I'm accepted, I'm proud of myself, people are proud of me, then just imagine how that makes you feel. And from the inside out, it starts to change things. And with children and teens in particular, I absolutely adore working with them because their transformation is instant. They have so little, like we're talking about kids that are up to, say, 18, 19, 20. Their layers are much less than adults like us. They've had less life experience. So for us to change their belief system, it's truly remarkable to see them change in front of my eyes. It's just the most amazing thing.
Beautiful. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a reward.
Like literally. Yeah. So that's what I do.
I have a question for you. Because I was thinking about affirmations, right? But how is it different from simple affirmations? I mean, positive affirmations.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I learned about PSYCH-K through an interview with Dr. Bruce Lipton. He is amazing. If anyone has not heard of him, do yourself a favor. He was doing an interview and he said that there's 4 ways to change subconscious beliefs. One of them is affirmations. One of them is EFT tapping. One of them is a catastrophic event, which normally is not a good one, something like a life event. And the 4th is PSYCH-K. And that's how I found out about it. So the difference between, for example, affirmations and PSYCH-K is this. So you can look in the mirror or you can have Post-its and you can affirm every day, I love myself, or today's going to be a good day, whatever it is that you've got. You can say it again and again and again for days and days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months. You don't actually ever know whether it's made a difference and it's changed the subconscious. So you could say it and say it and say it. Whereas with PSYCH-K, when I balance a belief with you, it takes seconds and you can test that it's changed. That's where it's different. It's verifiable. It's also non-invasive. So I don't actually need to know what's going on with you to help you. You don't have to tell me. And the best part about it is I can do it in Zoom. I don't have to be in the same room with someone. I can do it on a phone call, even with an email. So I can surrogate for people that are not in the same country, because I often deal with people around the world. Yeah, so that's the difference. Is it's verifiable. And interestingly, I interviewed a lady who's been teaching PSYCH-K since the 1990s, and she still tests some of the beliefs that she changed back then, and they've still stayed. So it's verifiable and it's lasting.
Yeah, it's lasting. That's wonderful. Yeah. Wow. And the old beliefs, the old destructive beliefs, they just go away.
They're just gone. They're just replaced. And it's interesting because the person you are at the beginning of the session and the person you are at the end of a session are different. You can't go back. You've changed those belief systems. And often people, I would say, well, how do you feel about this? And they say, oh, I don't really feel anything. Because so you're a different person now.
The emotion is not attached anymore because it's not there anymore.
No, that's right. So we've either reduced it significantly or it's gone. And not only that, but then we work on the belief systems that are around that. So say we've got a teen that's having issues with friends. So we would work with we would transform that stress, the way that they would feel. And then we would do the belief systems around that. So I have amazing friends. I can be myself. I trust my friends. You know, we also do the belief system. So we balance those as well. So we're sort of doing the entirety. That way we've taken the stress response away. We've changed the beliefs around it. In a first session with any client, I always work on our core belief system, which is love, self-love, self-worth, and acceptance. So we do that as well. So at the end of one session, you've got the self-love. We've changed the belief systems around a specific reason that you've come to see me, and we've taken away the stress response. Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah. And between sessions, do you have to train yourself, do some homework? Or
no, not really. No. What I do is we work with a whole list of beliefs, for example, and then I'm able to transform them all at the same time at the end. I do always email that plus some notes from the session to the client, just for their own records. They don't really need to do anything. We do include what's called an action step at the end. So we just decide between the two of us, or the client decides just something small that they can do just to basically affirm to themselves that this is the action that they're taking. So if I'm talking about a busy mum who doesn't have much time for themselves, they go and buy themselves a bunch of flowers or a cup of coffee. So it's something that's very easy to do. So, you know, if you're talking about a teen, then you would just think of something that they would do in their life that they could just add a little bit of meaning to. So there's no homework in between. The job's done. Once the belief is there, it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And teenagers, you see that they are open for such a technique, or there is a little bit of
Yeah. Surprisingly, they come into me and they don't at first. Sometimes they just look at me because, you know, or I'm on a Zoom call and they're always a little reserved because it's very hard to explain what this is. But I do find that once we get past the fact that once they feel comfortable, I guess, with me, they share so much information. And even if they don't share the information, I know intuitively what I need to do. I can feel what they need, and I know exactly what path to head down. And I know I'm always on the right track because they just look at me like, how does she know that? And so depending on the child, some children still, or some teens don't speak a great deal, but I can see by the way they're sitting, the way, you know, they're smiling more, they're making better eye contact. I know I'm on the right track. And the majority of them are very open and tell me stuff that I would be very surprised that they would tell anyone. So it's really kind of cool. And it's also, I think sometimes teens think it's almost cool to do something a bit weird and out there because it's a bit out there. Yeah. So I've had some really amazing sessions and some really amazing breakthroughs, and I find that ultimately the reason why it's always successful is because as humans, all we want is to be loved and to be safe. That's it. That's our primal requirements. Teens these days are in the middle of this whirlwind of chaos, and you know, we don't even need to go into what they're going through because you talk about that all the time, but they just need to know that they're normal. What they're feeling is normal, and everyone feels the same. And they're feeling what I felt when I was a teen, but probably magnified because their lives are way more complicated. Yeah. So, yeah, I love it. I love working with them.
Wow. I was wondering, sometimes, and it depends, often it depends on the family, these destructive, unfruitful beliefs come from the parents, right? So I was thinking, okay, you give sessions to a teenager, but then when he goes home, the parents have toxic beliefs, for example,
Oh,
or beliefs
yes,
that are not, that
absolutely.
they passed on to their children.
Yeah.
So you help the teenager free himself from those beliefs that were not fruitful and that were passed on to him by his parents, but then he goes home and then he finds the environment where those beliefs were put on him. So
yes, absolutely. And ultimately, the beliefs that the parents have that they've put on the child, you know, they have discovered, and they've gone back 14 generations so far. So what they've discovered is that the beliefs that we have are also intergenerational. So they go back a long, long way. Yeah. So what our parents know is what their parents knew, and so forth, and then it keeps on passing on. So two things is, one of them is that the teens that I work with, their belief systems and the issues and the trauma stops with them. It does not go. So when they have their own children, it stops because they've changed their beliefs. And yes, I agree. Sometimes they do go home to a toxic environment. However, the majority of the people that have come to see me, the teens that have come to see me, have reasonably supportive parents, the ones, or at least the parents that live in the house with them. And the other side of it is, even if they do have issues, because there's lots of families that are not together, so they're split families, even if they have issues with one parent but not the other, it seems to give them some resilience and to know that they're going to be okay, and they understand then why they feel the way they feel and why their parents are the way they are. And if we're talking very bad environments, well then let's be real, the teenager shouldn't be there anymore. You know, if it's that bad, the teen should be removed and placed somewhere safe. But ultimately, by the time a parent will make an appointment with me for a teen, they're almost on their own journey as well. And the ripple effect means that once we've helped one person in the house, it does slightly rub off, because as your vibration lifts, of course, everyone else around you starts to heal as well. So yeah, it's definitely a roadblock, though, you're right. And we do have to be mindful of that.
Yeah. But that's encouraging. That's, to hear that this technique gives some resilience to teenagers. If they have to deal with difficulties at home, then at least they have the tools
that's exactly right. And you know, and if we've got situations where the kids know that they're going to go home and one of their family members is going to say or act a certain way, well, then we can absolutely work on that. And to be honest, the kids do, the teens do tell me stuff. So they may say, oh, you know, I do have to deal with this specifically. So then we can do a little bit of work around that, and I can give them some scripting as well on things to say to themselves, either quietly in their head or out loud, depending on their situation. You know, just to take the power away from the person who's trying to do whatever they're doing, and to bring the power back to themselves and know that they are the ones that can control the circumstances that they are in.
That's good. I love this. Yeah. Okay, we are at the end of our interview. Do you have a service or a product that you would like to talk more specifically? I mean, to offer? You have a special offer?
I don't have anything specifically, except if my website is kimwagner.com, and you'll have the details, I'm sure, when this is published. There's some information on there. I've got some blog posts, and if anyone would like to just have a chat to me to see if it's something that might work for their teen, absolutely send me a message. And even though I'm in Australia, I work with all different countries, so you know, distance and time zones is absolutely no barrier.
Yeah, perfect. So you heard that. And thank you so much, Kim. I was really and still interested in this technique. And so that's it for today.
Thank you.
And this was, I am Elena Perella, personal coach. I was filling in for Elaine Sugar. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Empower Teen Self-Esteem. Please follow Kids More Sugar on social media. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel to show that you support this content. And you can visit our website at kidsmoresugar.com to learn more about our free online kids program. Thank you.